Alright, y'all, welcome back to another Resident Evil look back video. Sorry. So I wanted to just explain something real quick. The audio through these clips has not been working since the Resident Evil 4 remake video. I don't know why. It's my Xbox making this problem. I did reset it, so I'm hoping that can work for the next video. But it's just it's recording when I hit record, but it takes out the first 10 seconds, but leaves the audio in from the first 10 seconds. So the audio in the video will not match since the first 10 seconds of the video was cut for some reason. I don't know why. I've never had this problem before. I don't know why this problem is happening. I didn't do anything with my settings or whatever, but I'm hoping it can get back to normal. But you're mainly hearing my voice for these videos, so. But with that out of the way, let's talk about my favorite Resident Evil game in this whole franchise. That is Resident Evil 7 BIOHAZARD, released in 2017. So, yes, this game came out in 2017. It was the first RE Engine Resident Evil game to come out. This game actually started the RE Engine for Capcom, and they have been using it ever since with future Resident Evil games and other games that they have made. So, why do I love this game? Well, there's a backstory with that. I don't know if I've explained it. I probably have multiple times, but this one is this explanation is gonna be special for this video itself. But this was the first Resident Evil game I played and got my hands on. A year before I got it, I saw a bunch of videos on it, a bunch of playthroughs, and I'm like, what is this game? What is Resident Evil? I never got into it when I first watched videos, but I just thought it looked like a scary ass game, and it looked really popular. So a year after I did get it, I did play it. Now I was a little young, so I didn't play it the legit way. I used a guide through the entire game, and yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't use guides on video games. I think this was the only one I used a guide on, except for the Resident Evil 2 remake puzzles. Some of those were a little tricky, so I had to use a guide for that. But I used a guide throughout this entire game on my first playthrough, and that was only because I was scared and I was young, so I wouldn't really understand it. But I still had fun playing the game. I still thought it was a good time, and it was just, it's one of the best. It's one of the best. I'm not gonna say it's the best because it's not. It does have its problems, but it's one of the best Resident Evil games, and I'm glad that this is how they revived the series, was with this game. Yes, Ethan is not a main character like the others, but Ethan is my favorite character because I can kind of relate to him with the situation he is in. Nowadays, you're gonna hear his mood and be like, oh, it's kind of off. It's not like Resident Evil Village where it got better. It's kind of off. And like, yes, I understand that, but like, to be fair, this was being made in 2015. This game was being worked on from 2014 to 2016, and then got its release date. I can't agree with people about the Ethan Winters thing. Yes, it is a little bit weird that he still clinged on to his wife after 3 years, and just now known that she was alive and still wants to be with her and stuff. You know, that's some dedication for a relationship, really. You know, you're still married or still attached to someone. They go missing. You just can't move on yet, and you want to know where they are. You want to know where they are. You find out where they are 3 years later, and you go finding them, and you got to battle all the shit that goes on, and just to get your wife back, I mean, you have to have some dedication there, and that's what Ethan has, some dedication. Same with Village, which, whew, that's gonna be a good one to go through again. But with Resident Evil 7 BIOHAZARD, one thing that stands out to me the most were the boss fights, which you're seeing my favorites in this playthrough, or in this video. The Chainsaw Jack fight, Marguerite, and Evelyn fights were awesome. Jack's chainsaw fight is my favorite because you literally just take a chainsaw and he has a chainsaw and you're just dueling with chainsaws against him, and it's fun. Plus, Jack is my favorite Resident Evil villain. Wesker is a close second, but Jack, with just those funny-ass lines, the first stalker enemy for a Resident Evil game to appear, that actually stalks you throughout the house before you kind of finish him off in the chainsaw fight. But it's just one of those enemies that you're like, damn, he's kind of creepy, but his fucking one-liners are funny as hell, which he does have funny one-liners, being, a transformed father figure. Marguerite, I would say, is the grossest boss fight I've ever had to go through in a Resident Evil game, because she's got some bugs down in her cooch, and I learned this, and I use this in the fight, but her head does the most damage when shooting at it. So do not shoot at her crotch. That's where it's gonna make you shoot, I think. Considering I play this on easy, I think it made me shoot her in the crotch. But her head does the most damage when shooting at it. So aim for the head. That's how it is with almost every Resident Evil enemy. But her coochie does have a lot of weak points into it. And then Evelyn's fight, which we're gonna see right now. Evelyn's fight, yes, it is it's one of the shortest. I would say the shortest Resident Evil fight is Birkin's final form in the train. That has to be the shortest, and kind of the weakest of the fights, because with Evelyn, you're going from the upstairs in the second house where you start off in the game. You're going all the way up there. You're trying to fight her to get that, to inject her with the antidote serum or whatever it is. You have to go through that, and then you have to fight her up in that same space with her mutated form, and then you have to wait until she pushes you out into the outside area. Then you got to shoot her a whole bunch. There are stages to this fight. With Birkin's final form, there really isn't, which is a little disappointing. But, there is no bad boss fights with these games that I play. It's just, there is a weaker one than some. And Evelyn's, I would say, is unique in its case, because Birkin's final form took inspiration from this fight, I'm going to say. Even though that fight was in OG, so maybe Evelyn's fight took inspiration from that original fight. But the remake version, I would say, took more inspiration from Resident Evil 7's final boss fight. Because of how it's set in, just the enemy staying in that one area and getting closer to you. But Evelyn did it differently because she pushed you outside and all that. But my favorite boss fight is the chainsaw fight with Jack. The molded enemies, yes, they don't have much variety, except for the bladed, the normal, the four-legged, the fat ones. Yes, there are not many enemy variety except for the main bosses, which I will have to say Village did better with that, in my opinion, which is, a fair opinion. But, Resident Evil 7 is just one of those games that if you played it as your first Resident Evil, you can grow to love it throughout the years and be like, hey, this was my first Resident Evil, and I'm glad it was, because this is the best, or one of the best, and that's how it was with me. Now, I wonder if Requiem can change that. I wonder if Requiem could be my favorite Resident Evil game and 7 be the second one. Who knows? We're getting so close to that release date. I'm still pushing these videos out. I have one game left, and that's Resident Evil Village. I'm actually going to take a little bit of a break so I can just kind of get that video out like a week before my bigger video. So I have some time to use within Village, because Village is a long game. It's kind of like Resident Evil 4, but a little bit shorter, I would say. But I do take my time with these playthroughs to look around, get everything. So yeah, I'm gonna take my time with Village. I'm not sure when that video will be out. It won't be out next week, I promise that. It might take 2 weeks just to get that one out. But I do love the amount of love these videos are getting. These videos were just a last minute idea, and they were an important idea to me to do before Resident Evil Requiem came out. But yeah, I'm glad you guys sit through these videos and watch the clips and watch me ramble about these games. But Resident Evil 7's my favorite game. Ethan's my favorite character. Leon is the close second, but I do hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll see you guys with Resident Evil Village in about 2 weeks. See you guys then, and bye.